In the year 2008, the world economy stopped breathing. But for one man, the crisis wasn't a danger. It was a deadline. A clock striking midnight on the biggest lie Wall Street had ever conceived. We think this story is about money. We think it's about $65 billion. It's not. It's about trust. It's about the friend who took your retirement, the neighbor who signed over their life savings, the institutions that looked the other way. Because the man selling the illusion was Bernie Madoff. To understand the scam, you must first understand the man. Bernard L. Madoff wasn't just another shark. He was an architect of modern finance. He helped found the NASDAQ. He ran a legitimate, highly respected brokerage firm on the 19th floor of the Lipstick Building. But the real money, the legendary untouchable money, was managed 2 floors below, on the 17th.
You didn't invest with Bernie Madoff. You were allowed to invest with Bernie Madoff. It was the ultimate VIP list. You felt superior. He wasn't cold calling, he was rejecting people. And if he took your money, it meant you had truly made it.
He was a pillar of the community, known for his impeccable integrity. His returns were steady. They weren't flashy 50% gains. Those drew scrutiny. Madoff delivered 10 to 12% every year, whether the market was booming or crashing. It was unnatural perfection, and perfection on Wall Street is the greatest smokescreen of all. People didn't check the numbers. They checked who else was invested. Jewish charities, major universities, Hollywood legends. Everyone wanted a piece of the magic. And that magic, it had a name: the split-strike conversion strategy. The split-strike conversion strategy was a myth, a sophisticated-sounding name Madoff's firm used to explain the impossible consistency of his returns. In reality, on the 17th floor, there were no traders. There were no conversions. There were only 3 people and a dusty old computer.
It was a classic Ponzi scheme, yes, but Madoff elevated it to an art form. He didn't promise absurd returns, he promised certainty. That's the psychological weapon. When you promise certainty, people stop asking the one question that saves them: where is the money coming from?
The money wasn't being invested. It was being deposited into a Chase bank account and used to fund the lifestyle of Madoff's family and, most importantly, to pay off the earlier investors who wanted to cash out. Every statement his investors received was a forgery. The trades listed never happened. And yet, his firm was audited. The SEC reviewed his operation. Why was the ghost never caught? Madoff built a wall of silence. His staff knew enough not to ask questions. His legitimate brokerage on the 19th floor was kept completely separate from the secretive 17th floor. He managed the illusion that the 2 operations were distinct. This wasn't just professional separation. It was generational betrayal. In 1999, a quiet financial analyst named Harry Markopolos was asked by his boss to figure out how Madoff did it. Markopolos didn't need weeks. He needed 5 minutes.
The math didn't work. It's physically impossible to execute that many options trades without affecting the market. He was claiming returns that didn't correlate with anything: VIX, interest rates, nothing. It was mathematically absurd. I realized immediately it wasn't a legitimate strategy. It was theft.
Markopolos didn't just suspect fraud. He presented the Securities and Exchange Commission with a detailed, 21-page memorandum proving it. He submitted it in 2000. He submitted it again in 2001 and 2005 and 2007. For nearly 2 decades, the most effective tool Madoff had wasn't a computer program or a forged ledger. It was the collective denial of the financial establishment. The 2008 crash was the perfect storm. Until then, Madoff had been able to manage outflows, investors pulling small amounts. But now, the requests for redemption were coming in hard and fast. People needed their cash, and Madoff didn't have it. He was out of time. He was pulling money from every available source, but the hole was too deep. The pressure became unbearable. The ultimate climax of this betrayal occurred not in an office, but at a family dinner. On December 10, 2008, Bernie Madoff called his 2 adult sons, Mark and Andrew, to his apartment. He was planning to pay out the year-end bonuses, but he couldn't.
He sat them down and told them he needed to confess something. He said he had paid out of the principal. That was his gentle way of saying, it's all gone. He admitted his legitimate business was solid, but his secretive 17th floor business? It was a giant Ponzi scheme, a $65 billion lie.
The sons, who had worked their whole lives trying to live up to their father's name, were shattered. They told him they had to go to the authorities. Mark and Andrew Madoff had a choice: protect the family name or protect the victims. They chose the victims. Less than 24 hours later, FBI agents were standing in Bernie Madoff's living room. The arrest didn't just end a scheme, it detonated a bomb within the global financial community. The initial shock wasn't the number, $65 billion. It was the realization that the losses were primarily concentrated among people who had trusted him most deeply: friends, Jewish organizations, charitable foundations.
We lost everything. Not just our money, we lost our community. We realized the people we thought were our friends, the people who introduced us to Bernie, were victims too. The shame was paralyzing. People felt stupid, not robbed. That's Madoff's final cruel legacy.
The amount he stole was staggering, but the amount he spent was relatively small. The greatest portion of the $65 billion was money that never existed. It was fake profit printed on fake statements. The victims were chasing a goatee.
Madoff wasn't a super genius. He was a great salesman who utilized human nature. We want shortcuts. We want exclusivity. And when someone gives us both, we stop asking questions, even when the returns look too good to be true. He didn't just steal money. He stole the right for these people to age gracefully.
Bernie Madoff was sentenced to 150 years in federal prison. He died behind bars in 2021. He never showed remorse for the theft, only for the pain his family endured. But the case leaves a chilling question hanging over Wall Street. How did one man, using a calculator and a lie, manage to fool the system for decades? The answer is simple and terrifying. He didn't fool the system. He was the system. The ghost in the room was never Madoff. It was the silence of the SEC, the blindness of auditors, and the insatiable greed of investors who knew, deep down, that something this perfect couldn't be real. Madoff proved that on Wall Street, integrity is often just an expensive facade. And the price of believing in a perfect return, it can cost you everything.